economy. There's a lot happening right now. You've got a president that likes action, and he makes a lot of announcements and a lot of decisions that are pretty heavy, pretty significant. It seems like they came in with a pretty strong agenda. Maybe this is that infamous Project 2025. I don't know, but it's very interesting to see what's really going on with Trump. So one thing that Trump has talked about doing, which is quite fascinating, is he and his buddies are interested in getting rid of the Department of Education. They believe that the Department of Education is wasteful. They believe the Department of Education needs to disappear. They believe that things like school choice should be implemented. They have an issue with the curriculum. They also just probably want to privatize some things. And so one of the things that is interesting about this is that this is one of those things I wanted to kind of talk about, because one of the other questions that some of you may have is like, well, if the Department of Education disappears and the Department of Education administers a lot of student loans, what happens with my student loans? Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you will still have to pay it. Like, Massa, don't let that money go. They're going to make you pay the student loans. So get that out of your head right now. What they can do with debt is they can actually sell debt to other people. They can let other people become the debt holder, and then you owe somebody else instead of the original party, right? So that's kind of what would happen there. So anyway, I want to say hello really quickly to Murray B. I see you in there. It's good to hear from you as well. Sandra Tripp, Aubrey Smoke, good to see you. CM, LMY, Barbara Scott. Hello, everybody. I know you guys are joining me late at night. And those of you that are listening on the recording, I want to remind you that my podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, just look up my name, and you'll find the Dr. Boyce Breakdown and Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market, where I kind of give you daily updates on what's happening in the stock market. Last week, a lot of you made a lot of money because right when I saw the Trump tariffs were announced and I saw the market collapse, I got on immediately to talk to you guys about it because I saw that as a buying opportunity. And as you saw, the market recovered in about an hour. So literally the whole economy was on sale for about an hour, hour and a half. And by that afternoon, a lot of you had made money because the market actually completely reversed its losses. When Trump announced that his tariffs against Mexico were not going to happen, the market shot up from that. Then it shot up again when he announced that he was going to suspend his tariffs against Canada, because Canada and Mexico both kind of folded. Some people may want to try to interpret this as a loss for Trump. I don't think it was a loss for Trump. I think that he got rid of the tariffs because they gave him what he wanted. He got 10,000 troops on the Mexican border, and he got the Canadians to invest a lot of money in doing some of the stuff he wanted them to do related to, I guess, the drugs and all that stuff, even though not a lot of the drugs come out of Canada, actually. But either way, though, it was a great opportunity to make money. There are a lot of companies that were really cheap. And so those of you that jumped on it and invested, I'm happy for you because you probably made money that day. Now, with that said, let's talk about this thing with the Department of Education. What I want to do is, even though I know that we got culture wars and everybody's emotional about the presidential thing, and I just keep reminding you, look, I just don't understand us constantly being in fear of politicians and thinking politicians are going to change our lives. There's no evidence to say that Democrats or Republicans being in office has ever really improved the condition of the Black community. I stand with Dr. Claude Anderson, who wrote in his book Powernomics that Black people tend to lose no matter who's in office. So what's going to matter is whether or not you're in office, not whether Trump's in office or Biden's in office. My question for you is, are you in office? If you are in office, then you're going to succeed. If you're not in office because you're off wailing and crying and worrying about who's elected president, I don't think that's going to be a win for you, to be honest with you. There are certain Black families that have made good decisions that did well under Bush. There are certain Black families that made good decisions that did well under Obama. Then they did well under Trump. Then they did well under Biden, and they're going to keep on doing well. And there are some families that have failed under every administration because we're waiting for Jesus. We're waiting for white Jesus and Superman to come save us because we've got these false leaders and pastors that tell us that stuff is important. And I just don't think that it is, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of silly. So anyway, let me hop in and talk about, can the Department of Education really be shut down? Not without an act of Congress. I think Jimmy Carter actually was the person to help start the Department of Education. And I believe that they need Congress's approval to actually shut it down. But they've got these executive orders that the president can sign that can at least implement something, right? And then Congress or then the courts can come in and stop him, right? But the court's actually a conservative court, and then Congress is conservative. So we got a conservative country right now, whether you like it or not. I think the pendulum tends to swing in both directions pretty strong. I think that what happens is you get super liberal for a while, and then people get tired of that. Then they become conservative. Then they're conservative for a while. Then the country switches back and becomes liberal again. So at some point there'll be some Democratic Party candidate that'll have a lot of charisma and be able to get the country to swing in the other direction by pointing out all the flaws of the Trump strategy. Right? They'll be able to point out the areas where the conservatives have it wrong. On this Department of Education issue, whether you think they have it right or have it wrong really depends on where you stand. I'm going to point out some reasons why the conservatives want to shut down the Department of Education, and then you can decide if you agree with any of these or not. I'll try to find a pro and a con. Sometimes it's hard to do, but I'll kind of do my best with that. So first off, the Republicans don't really like federal government. They tend to believe in states' rights. So one thing that they believe in is that the states should decide what the educational curriculum is going to be. They don't like things like the Common Core or these federal standards that are pushed on them. And they also have a big issue with the curriculum. Like, I know a lot of y'all have an issue with the curriculum. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but there was a lot of discussion about sexuality happening in schools, and I know that upset a lot of parents. A lot of parents are like, what is this crap? I don't want my child, because it's one thing if they're learning all this stuff and they're also learning how to read, right? It's one thing if they're learning all this stuff and they're also learning how to do math. But if I was looking up like just statistics on on the state of Black boys in the educational system, and they were terrible. In the public educational system, Black boys and really Black children in particular, I think it was something like only 11% of Black kids could read or do math at grade level, which is absolutely an abomination. That schools with numbers like that should be shut down. But sometimes they're run by Democrats, and we love the Democrats, so we'll kind of let them drive the car, even if they're driving the car off a cliff. Right, we'll let them control the school, even though they're ruining the kids. Like, we'll let them have control because I think they care more about teachers' unions than they care about the actual children and the communities that they're supposed to serve. And in fact, if you were to look up some stats, first off, the Black boys in particular are 3 times more likely to face suspensions and expulsions than white kids. The national high school graduation rate did drop about 6% in 2018. The rate for Black students actually did improve a little bit, but it was actually still a concern because it's much lower than white kids. Also, a lot of Black kids can't read or do math at grade level, and so and that's the biggest issue that I would say pops up, because what happens is that when you have kids that are miseducated and poorly prepared for life, they end up struggling and really suffering in this economy. If you're 30 years old and you can't read, write, or do math, you're not going to be able to make any money, because to make money, you got to be able to count, right? You're going to know percentages. And according to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, 84% of Black 8th grade students lack proficiency in mathematics. 85% are not proficient in reading. So you're only educating 15% of the Black kids, right? That's 1 out of every 6 or something. In 2019, check this out, only 6% of Black male 12th graders were reading at a proficient level, and just 1% were reading at an advanced level. Now, if that does not give you enough reason that we need to take our kids out of these public schools if we want to succeed, I don't know what does. Why in the world are you so committed to a failing system unless you truly believe Black people are supposed to fail? Why are you so committed to sending your children to a toxic system unless you hate your kids that much? Like, do you understand what happens when a kid does not get a good education? Do we understand that? Do we know how to connect the dots? Are we connecting the dots? Like, do we know that an 11th grader who can't read is gonna have a really hard time being a husband and a father 10 years later, when he's gonna have to solve problems and provide for a family? Do y'all understand the connection? Like, do you understand, that this is why a lot of Black women at 30 years old can't find a good husband? Because their husband never learned how to read in high school. So he been out in the streets doing whatever in order to survive. He can't fit into the economy. He can't start a business. He doesn't know how to invest. He doesn't know how to build wealth. And I find that really amazing that we can look at children and not remember that children are going to become adults. That tells me, that there's a tremendous lack of foresight. There's a tremendous lack of cause and effect, understanding cause and effect. So again, I'm not here to say that the Department of Education should be shut down. What I believe is that billions of dollars of those resources should only be applied to schools that are actually able to educate the kids, which probably is a conservative idea because one thing they do believe in is school choice, right? There's schools like Freedom Home Academy International in Chicago that can educate kids at a very high level. They educate black kids better than white kids. So why wouldn't that school get, $2 billion a year for its budget? They could educate every child in the city of Chicago if somebody gave them the money. So why not give them the money? Why not give them the money? But you don't give them the money because you want white people at the front of the bus. You want to give the money to the white liberals who want to control everything. And they don't look at black people as legitimate partners. They look at black people as a commodity. They look at you as a pet. They look at you as an asset that they get to control. They use that asset to get votes, by tugging your emotional strings without you really sort of connecting it to the logic that says that your kids are being screwed in these school systems. They're being psychologically molested. They're literally being psychologically molested and ruined in so many ways. And I just don't understand why we don't understand that, why we don't sort of have the same urgency when it comes to the educational process as we have when there's a police shooting that white people market to us on TV. CNN will put the George Floyd shooting on the screen and we'll get all like riled up about that and emotional about that. Like that's the most important thing in the world. And even let Biden compare him to Martin Luther King, which was a ridiculous compare. He's not a Martin Luther King. I'm sorry. And at the same time, millions of your kids are sitting in school, can't read, can't write, can't do math, on their way to prison or death or definitely unemployment and extreme economic desperation. And you say nothing. You say absolutely nothing. You just sit there and just go along with the okie doke and, vote blue no matter who and just do whatever you're told. And they're literally leading you down a death march. They're leading you down a death march. So I'm not talking to the people who don't get it. I'm not talking to the people who are just going to get mad at what I'm saying. There are people who get emotional. Oh, you sound like a Trump supporter. People like that, I can't talk to them because unfortunately, you haven't chosen to make the connection. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I'm just going to tell you I don't understand where you're coming from. I don't get it. I try to get it. I respect it, but I don't get it. All I care about are the black kids. The black kids, Darlene, that's a great term. The abyss is a great term to use to describe where they're taking our children. They're taking our children down the abyss. And you're not even outraged about that, but you're very outraged because so-and-so got elected to the White House. Who gives a damn? Like, seriously, your kids can't read. Right. So anyway, let me stop. I don't want to sound, I don't want to go down into a psychological abyss because I know it's late at night, but these are the things that keep me up, because I'm a mathematician, and as a mathematician, we solve problems. And I don't think our community does a very, very good job of solving problems. I think that we do a very good job of whining about problems. That's what we do. We do a very good job of letting white people tell us what the problem is and letting them take the lead. You will never, ever be able to get ahead if you're always waiting for white people to take the lead. And that's what you're always looking for. You're waiting for CNN to talk about it. You're waiting for Beyonce to get a Grammy Award so that she can be acknowledged. You're waiting for other people to acknowledge us and acknowledge you and to say, it's okay for you to be outraged about this. And then suddenly the outrage appears, right? No, how about this? How about you get outraged without permission? What are you outraged about in terms of what's happening in your community? What is it that's going on in your community where you say, this has got to stop? No, we're going to fix this no matter what. We're going to fix this from hell or high water. I don't care if I make you mad, hurt your feelings. What is it? Is it the fact that black wealth is dropping down to zero under both Democrat and Republican administrations? Is that enough to make you say enough is enough? Or could it be that the black family is an endangered species, and pretty soon you're going to have children that don't expect to have two parents? Is that enough to make you say, like, hey, wait, this ain't good? Our little girls getting molested by their mother's boyfriends. The sons are out here in the streets getting shot in the head. This is too much. Is that enough? Or is it all the death that happens where we're dying early from eating unhealthy food that they're selling us in the hood and everything else, and fast food and everything else that gives us cancer and obesity, while at the same time celebrating obesity because you can't talk about it because you'll be fat shaming. That's what happened when I told Lizzo, stop promoting obesity. You're better than that. Stop promoting obesity and whorish behavior to little black girls, because we know what happens when you're a big fat hoe. Your life is not going to be a happy life. Why are you selling unhappiness to black girls? Why are you selling them low self-esteem? Why are you selling them rape culture? Why are you selling them unhealthy culture? Why would you do that? Who told you that that's okay? And then what happens is the white media comes in and they protect the nonsense. So the white media all pretty much got together, and hundreds of news outlets in the Associated Press wrote the article as if Lizzo was the hero and Dr. Boyce was this oppressive, sexist black man who oppresses black women. That's what they do, right? That's what they did, right? And this is what the people ran with. But then a year later, just 1 year later, the pandemic hits. Pay attention now. The pandemic hits, and then suddenly they're telling you, "Oh, everybody, we need y'all to go get this shot. We're making $100 billion selling this shot to black people. So we need y'all to get this shot because y'all all got obesity and that's racism. You got fat culture racism. So we need y'all to all go get this shot so you don't die." Right. And I was sitting there saying, but a year ago, I was telling you that we need to stop telling them that obesity is good. We need to stop marketing this. We need to stop acting like this is okay. We need to address the issue. And you said I was sexist for saying that. So make your mind up. Do you want black people to live or do you want them to die? Or do you only care that they live as long as they can serve you? So at the end, so I'm gonna just tell you, if you want to know how that ended with the Lizzo thing, I never apologize. I still don't apologize. And even Lizzo agrees with me. You see, Lizzo's now trying to lose weight. She's trying to eat healthy. Because the reason she got mad is because she knew I was right. She knew I was correct. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you are correct, you may not be politically correct, but you might still be correct. And in that particular case, I said, you are talented, you are beautiful, you could be out here, you should be like Adele. Adele is a fat white lady who can get out there and sing, and she ain't got to twerk, she ain't got to pretend to suck a penis, she ain't got to be running around acting like a damn clown, she ain't got to do all this buffoonery that's specifically reserved for you because you're black. You get a specific brand of buffoonery that comes to you because you're black. The minstrel show will always sell out when white people are in the audience. The minstrel show will always sell out when white people are in the audience. And then what happens is money is a deceiver. Money will make you think that that person doing the minstrel show is a black success. You'll say, "Oh, there's black excellence, y'all. Look, black excellence, y'all. They made $100 million, y'all." Well, what did they make $100 million doing? What did they make $100 million doing? Did anybody tell you that all money ain't good money? Or did you think all money was good money? Because if you thought all money was good money, you clearly have never taken a class from me. Because first thing I'll tell you is that all money ain't good money. Just like all bullets ain't good bullets. Some bullets will protect you. Some bullets will kill you. All fire ain't good fire. Sometimes a fire will keep you warm. Sometimes a fire will burn you alive. So all money ain't good money. But when we think that way, because we haven't thought about it, because we've gotten our consciousness pushed down to a low level, we end up celebrating things that are leading to our absolute death and demise. We celebrate. We're happy about that. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And if you want to know if I put my money where my mouth is, I try to. I do my absolute best. I teach finance every morning, and you can join this class for free. I'm going to put the information on the screen. All you got to do is text the word morning to the phone number 87948, and I'll put that on the screen so you can put that in your phone. So text morning to the number 87948, or you can go to drboyceelevate.com, and you can join the class. It's 100% free. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can put it up here so you can have it. All right. And the other thing, too, is my wife is a therapist, and she does relationship stuff really well. And she works with a lot of other brilliant black therapists. And I personally believe black folks are crazy. I think that racism makes you crazy. And racism is a mental illness as well. But I also think that being a victim of racism can really hit you hard. So we're healing racism as a pathway to economic prosperity. So one of the things that she wants to do is we're trying to do our part to restore black families. She's hosting something called the Black Love Weekend. And what she did was she went out and got some of the best black therapists in the country. She got even a sex therapist. She got a male therapist, female therapist, trained licensed people, not these goofballs that you see on these relationship podcasts that literally have broken relationships like babies, mamas and stuff, but they're giving relationship advice. Like I literally heard a guy, no disrespect to him, but his name was TK Kirkland. I was really shocked. He said that a man taking care of another man's child is a mental illness. And I was like, that is so interesting to me because you saying that shows me your mental illness. I mean, I get it. If you're not interested in taking care of another man's child, that's fine. That's okay. But when you're telling people that black children don't deserve love because they don't have a father, because that means the other men in the community should not step up and make sure that child is guided. That means you have that tells me a lot about what kind of man you are. That tells me that you have no understanding of what it takes to lead a community, because if you are a leader of a community, then you understand the importance of the village. If you understand the importance of the village, then you protect and defend the village. So I protect any child and defend any child that comes into my space. Any black child that's in my space, if you need some food, I'm going to feed you. If you need protection, I'm going to protect you. If you need some words of encouragement, I'm going to encourage you. If you need some guidance, I'm going to guide you. Why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? It is important because if you don't guide that child, then, and you say, well, I'm just going to take care of mine. So I'm going to make sure my kids are good. Well, one of those unguided children, pay attention now, one of those unguided children is going to run up to your child and shoot him in the damn head. One of those unguided children is going to rape your daughter because that boy did not get taught how to be a man. Do you understand? One of those unguided children is going to rob you when you're walking down the street. So if we are a village, now tell me if you agree. Give me a yes if you agree that we want to be a village. If you don't think we should be a village, then this is not for you. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. Go over and hang out with white folks or whatever it is you want to do, but I'm not your guy. But if you agree that we're going to be a village, put a yes in the chat if you agree that we should be a village. If you agree that we're a village, then the real men in the community take responsibility for the village. That does not mean you got to go marry a woman with kids. I did that. It's been an amazing blessing. One of the kids works for me and helped me make over $1 million in a year, right? So I ain't got no complaints. I love those kids. Raising black kids is an honor. It is a privilege. I have great conversations with them. It is one of the greatest gifts God could have ever given me. But I understand guys who don't want to do it. Maybe it's because it's expensive. Maybe because it's hard. Maybe you haven't met the right woman. I have no idea. I pray for you on that. But at the end of the day, these little boys got to stop talking so much and let the grown men take the lead. Step to the side, go get your liquor and your weed and your hose, whatever it is that's keeping you busy, and let the real men guide the community. We got real men out here that are really doing this. We've had millions of black men since slavery who have taken responsibility for children that were not their own. We've had millions of black men for the last 400, 500 years. This ain't nothing new. Y'all going back to 1995, 2010. No, you go back to 1604. There was that child in the village who didn't have a daddy for whatever reason. Maybe Massa broke his family up and that kid needed some guidance and needed some love. And there was somebody there giving that child love. They weren't running from responsibility. They were running toward responsibility. One reason your community suffers is because you got too many people running away from responsibility instead of having people running toward responsibility. Communities where people want to take responsibility are communities that tend to prosper. Do you understand? So anyway, with that being said, let me get back to my original point. My wife is doing the Black Love Weekend. It's going to be on Valentine's Day weekend. And it's for anybody that wants to understand how relationships work from a scientific standpoint. If you want to understand how to pick the right partner, how to keep the right partner, how to grow your relationship, how to repair your relationships, all these things, they got it. They got you covered. The black therapists in our community are the baddest therapists on the planet, and they are damn good. And they got this set up for you. And it's not that it doesn't cost that much. It definitely costs you less than going a night at the club. Why would you not spend the same amount of money for a night at the club? I think it's less than $100 for the whole damn weekend. So why would you spend $200 going to the club, but not spend $80 or $90 learning how to get along with that woman in your life or that man in your life or that family? Build that family that's going to be solid and stable. Because another point here too is, since I'm the economic guy, I'm going to step in with this. And I've said this before. Every study shows that black families that stick together do better financially. Every study shows that black families that are able to make it work, that figure it out, they do better wealth-wise. I know lots of you in here. I see you at the convention and stuff every year. I see families where you got the daddy and the mama running the business together. They're cracking over $1 million a year. The kids are all making six figures by the age of 23. Like I see families like this, but we don't know nothing about that because they sell us garbage culture. They sell us a bunch of nonsense, and some of us buy it. Right? I don't want garbage culture. Garbage culture is for garbage people. If you want to be a garbage person, then God bless you. But I think that those who want something different, you should know that there's something different out there. So anyway, with that being said, the URL is theblackloveweekend.com. Feel free to go to the website, take a look. My wife is down for the count today. She's, in case you were looking for her today, I know some of y'all work with her directly, actually, because she sees clients and stuff. She got food poisoning. We went to DC for the Wealth Summit hosted by Pastor Akeisha Jefferson. I want to shout her name out because that sister spent a whole lot of money hosting this summit, and I just have so much respect for her. And while we were there, she got some seafood, and now she's seeing the back of her eyelids and seeing like the bottom of the toilet and stuff. I don't want to be too graphic, but she ain't doing too good. So that food poisoning is hitting her pretty bad. But anyway, her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. If you ever want to go check out what she does, it's coachingwithdralicia.com. All right, so let me get back to this issue with this thing with Trump and the education department. So earlier we were talking about Trump wanting to get rid of the Department of Education. He also wants to do some interesting stuff related to Gaza. He wants to actually take over that property, take over all of Gaza, and move all the people out, which I just hate. I think it's terrible. I really wish that was not happening. I kind of feel like that's just as bad as what the Democrats are doing. And the thing about it is that you really got to go and look at who's funding who and what's really happening here, right? We know that that there are certain organizations, namely AIPAC, that give a lot of money to a lot of our politicians. So they're never going to go against Israel. They're just not. And so Biden was spending lots of money putting weapons in the hands of the Israelis and also the Ukrainians to provoke Russia and just really doing things that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And so now with Trump coming in, I didn't expect him to step up for the people of Gaza at all. So he actually wants to take over that property and move everybody out, which does seem like ethnic cleansing. It does feel a lot like ethnic cleansing. To me, it's a tragedy and an injustice. But that's what they're talking about doing. And so he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot of interesting things. With the Department of Education, I don't see any reason to necessarily need the Department of Education. If I had a choice on what to do with that money, I would help independent Black-owned schools get the money that they need. Like if the Black Business School had $1 billion a year, we literally could make the entire Black community the most economically intelligent community on the planet. Like it would be very easy to do. Like I know thousands of Black teachers and professors that are ready to teach. They just need a living wage to do it, and raising money can be a lot of work. And so I think school choice is something that makes sense. I don't believe that we should be obligated to support schools that are failing. The only reason that you keep a failing school open is so you can keep paying the people that are working at that school, or you can keep paying the administrators and the teachers at that school. And it's not even their fault, though, that the schools are failing. Teachers are mistreated. Teachers, in a way, teachers are kind of like what doctors are in the healthcare system. Doctors are not the reason the healthcare system is terrible. It's more so the insurance companies and the for-profit hospitals and stuff like that, and the pharmaceutical companies that are getting rich, and kind of the doctors are kind of getting slapped around and forced to implement highly profitable methodologies that are not necessarily going to get the best results for their patients, right? So the patients suffer, the doctors suffer, but then the hospitals get rich, pharmaceutical companies get rich, insurance companies get rich. Does that make sense? Let me know if you get that. So when I see the public school system, I see the same thing. The students are kind of like the patients, and the students in the school are like the patients in the hospital. They're the commodity, right? The more patients you have as a hospital, the more money you make. The more students you have in a public school, the more money they make, right? So they want your kids in their school, not because they love you, not because they care about Black people, not because they want Black folks to win. They want your kids in that school because that's a dollar bill. That's money. That's a cha-ching. That little Tyrone coming to school every day, even if Tyrone can't read, is a cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So then what happens is you've got the teachers who, in my opinion, get screwed because they get these federal standards enforced on them where it's like, okay, well, you got to make sure you teach the kid how to be gay. You got to make, I'm kidding, I'm playing. They don't do that. But some of that stuff, it's like, man, I don't really want you talking to my kids about sexuality. I think that's a little bit weird. But then also it's like you get these Common Core and you get these tests, and these stupid, I get it, what they're saying. Like they want to make sure that the standards are met and all that. But Lord Jesus, some of these tests, the teachers end up teaching to the test, and the school becomes like a penitentiary. When I went to public school, I hated it because I felt unloved. I felt like I was in a prison, right? And to me, school should not feel like a prison. School should feel liberating. School should feel elevating. School should feel uplifting. I don't think our kids feel that way. I don't think our teachers feel that way. Teachers don't get paid enough. We should be paying our teachers $100,000 a year, in my opinion, and we should pay them whatever we got to pay to bring in the best and brightest. That system does not do that. That system does not bring in the best and the brightest, because the best and the brightest say, damn, I'd like to be a teacher, but teachers don't make enough money. But if you want to get the best teachers, pay them more money. Why can't you do that? Why can't you do it? You could spend $1 million on a Scud missile and buy 1,000 of them that you don't even use, but you can't go give the teachers a 20-30% raise so they can make money. If I was running the Department of Education, and my first step as president of the United States would be, I would sign an executive order making sure every teacher was making 6 figures, and then I would give them freedom to teach. That's what I would do. I would let them do their job. I think that's a big problem. So to some extent, even though I'm a little annoyed with the teachers unions, I feel like in cities of Chicago, they care more about the teachers union than they care about the kids. I think schools that are not getting the results should be shut down. That's my 2 cents. At the same time, I think part of it is that teachers are constrained. They're not given the money they deserve. They should have more black male teachers. Why you got all those damn black boys in your school, but they ain't got no black male teachers? Oh, that's right. Well, because the black boy is a commodity for you. He's a commodity. He's a dollar sign. He's a paycheck for you. He's not somebody that you want to receive compensation from that system. You want him to be in the system so that you can benefit from his presence. It's no different from politics. Black voters are not the beneficiaries of black votes. Do you understand? Black voters do not benefit from black votes. Black voters are a commodity that's bought and sold. There's backroom negotiation. I've sat in some of them. I've seen them. Al Sharpton sits there with white people and he says, I'll get you so many black votes if you pay me a couple of dollars and give me a bucket of chicken. And then he'll go out and get black folks to, go do what he tells them to do. So you all vote blue no matter who, because that's what you're told. And then somebody gets elected and then they forget about you. You know how it is. Come on. Seriously. Democrat or Republican, these politicians forget about you as soon as the election's over because you have no evidence to the contrary, because if you did, you'd be able to use it, right? So here's the deal. The kids are a commodity. The teachers are to some extent being screwed, but then there are beneficiaries of this system as mainly administrators and contractors and people that make money from your child showing up to school. They get that government funding. They get so much money per head, and it becomes like a whole racket. I would like to see some competition in that system. I think that, or better yet, I'm not going to say I would like to see it. How about this? I would say one benefit, if you did shut down the Department of Education, would be that you'd have a situation where schools had to compete to get a kid. And they would have to compete by impressing the parents. They would tell the parents, you have so many thousands of dollars or whatever, or so much money that's allocated to your child. You can decide the best school for your child, and ain't nobody going to look out for the kid's best interest more than the mother. Tell me if you agree. Tell me if you agree with this. I think that the person who should be controlling the destiny of the kid should be the mother and the father, not a white lady from the suburbs, not the federal government, not the Chicago public school system, not the teachers union. It should be the mother and the father. And there should be competition to compete for that kid's time. And it should be based on results. Where's the merit base? If a school I was really alarmed when I found out that there's like 40 something schools in Chicago where they don't have a single black child that can read or write or do math at grade level. That makes me so furious. It's ridiculous, because I can see what these children's lives are going to be like. I can see how much chaos this is going to create in our community. I can see how many of these boys are going to grow up and end up in prison, end up shooting each other up. How many of them are going to grow up and not be able to take care of their families? I can see the pain, the financial anxiety they're going to have by not even knowing how to survive in this economy. You didn't even give them trade school. You didn't even teach them how to fix a car, build a house. Why can't we, really, imagine that. I would love that if we had schools where every kid, even if they didn't go to college, where every single kid knew how to fix stuff as well as some of the Mexicans can. I know people I knew a guy that got his whole basement done, and he hired Ukrainians, Mexicans, Polish people. He couldn't find any African-American companies to hire to do the work. That's crazy to me. But why not? Why aren't we the ones rolling up with the trucks doing all the work? And then they're like, oh, bring in the immigrants because they'll do the work that we don't want to do. Well, maybe it's because we never get trained on how to do it. Train people to do it and pay them a living wage, and then they'll do the job. Stop acting like a Mexican's the only person that wants to fix a house. I know plenty of black people who, if they were trained to fix your house, they probably would. They just don't know how to do it. So stop the nonsense, man. Stop the nonsense and stop trying to replace black people and start honoring black people. Start showing respect. Put some respect on our name. Shit, you up here celebrating every damn community except us. And then got us out here supposedly fighting for all these damn. I ain't fighting for nobody except me and mine's first. I'll fight for you after I finish solving the problems in my own space. You don't clean out nobody else's house until you clean your own. And if anybody disagrees with that, I need to talk with you because I'm deeply concerned that maybe your priorities need to be adjusted. I'm not going to disrespect you because I know sometimes I get angry and I'll say stuff that sounds mean, but Lord Jesus, we have been brainwashed to really care about other people more than we care about ourselves. I ain't going to fight on this immigration issue because I'm not an immigrant. Just like they're not going to fight for my reparations. Ain't one single illegal immigrant criminal out here fighting for reparations. They would think that would be weird. They would think that was crazy. Like, why would they be fighting for something that has nothing to do with them? So I don't really understand why when we do the same thing, people act weird about it. Even with the politics, what's so funny to me is even now, what's hilarious to me is that there are so many people who are like, those black men, they didn't support Kamala. Those black men didn't support Kamala. And people forget that the majority of black men did support Kamala. That black men supported Kamala more than white men supported Kamala. They supported Kamala more than white women supported Kamala. But you're like beating up on the black men like you own them. Like the little 22% or whatever that didn't support Kamala, or maybe some of them voted Republican. You're like, we own you, Negro. You didn't do your job. We're not going to focus on all the other people that didn't vote for her. We're focusing on you because that's what you were supposed to do. And this is just the most baffling thing in the world. Like, you would really think that 90% of all black men didn't vote Democrat. No, look at the data, look at the numbers. Black men voted for Democrats in an overwhelming majority. So we get to claim that too. We get to claim, yeah, we support the Democrats. Yeah, not all of us did, but the majority of us did. So really, when it comes to the politics, I think it gets very distorted. I think it gets kind of ridiculous. It gets emotional. It gets ignorant. It gets very oppressive too. Very oppressive. And oppression in the sense of you telling somebody else what they're supposed to do with their vote. Like I done spent my whole life fighting the white man's oppression. I'm not going to be oppressed by black people. I'm just not. I already told Massa. I already told Todd and Becky, they're not telling me what to do. So I'm gonna tell Tyrone and Shaniqua, you ain't telling me what to do neither. Ain't nobody should be out here oppressing anybody. We can encourage each other. We can make our points. Like, I can get with you and I can say, hey, I think we should do this. But I think to get to the point where I'm telling you that this is what you have to do, or whatever, or if you don't do it, you're a complete coon. I think that's wrong. I think that's the wrong way to approach it. So anyway, let me shut up. Let me stop talking here. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I apologize today. We could not do Stock Market Tuesday because I was traveling, but I am going to reach out to those of you that are in our Stock Market Investors Club. And we're going to do another session. We're going to do a makeup session. So my apologies for missing. If you want to join us, in case you don't know, in case you're new, I'm a finance professor. My PhD is in finance. I went to the Ohio State University, go Buckeyes. And that's in the stock market is what I wrote my dissertation on. So if you want to learn about the stock market, I can tell you there's a lot of money to be made. It's the number one wealth building machine in the entire country. Hands down, no holds barred. Literally, it is the number one wealth generator in America. So I really want to impress upon you that anybody that wants to be successful financially in America absolutely positively must participate in the stock market. The earlier you get your kids involved, the sooner they can get away from all this financial despair that's hitting so many people. Everybody ain't desperate. Everybody ain't struggling. Everybody ain't broke. It's just your broke friends that are broke because they're not listening when people like me talk about where the money actually lives. So if you want to do a free trial in our program, feel free to go to drboystockmarket.com. The URL is right there on the screen, drboystockmarket.com. And also I have a Spotify podcast called Dr. Boyce Daily, where I give you daily updates on the stock market. And later on this week, we're going to do something I call a financial slumber party. That's where we get together about once every 6 weeks or so. And we just come in about 11 o'clock at night. We wear our pajamas, we bring our popcorn, play some music, and I give a financial training that night. And it's like late at night, so it makes it kind of fun, like a slumber party, because I'm just immature like that. So if you want to get notified or get a link to join us, we're going to have one on the 7th, which is in 3 days. So if you'd like to join us and also get access to our free morning class, pull out your phone, text the word morning to the phone number 87948. Text morning to 87948. I'll send you an invitation. And if you live out of the country, you can go to drboyceelevate.com. You can get on there as well. All right, guys. So I'm going to get out of here. Have a good night. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you putting up with me, as I know sometimes I'll ramble about stuff. And y'all can tell me in the chat if I ramble a little too much, or if you like it, or if you like the pacing, because I know how I am. I can't. I've tried to, like, they say content creators should talk like this and do this and do that. And I'm like, man, I ain't Kai Cenat. I'm not here to do all that. I'm just here to talk and be honest with you about what I'm seeing in the world, and hopefully help somebody. I want to see somebody win because we were talking. And I also enjoy the idea. I'd like to hope that coming here, we can talk about things that are just different from what you're hearing everywhere else. I believe deeply in solutions. I believe that we are supposed to win. Not only that we can win, but we're supposed to win, because I believe we are the chosen people, and we just gotta own it. We gotta first choose ourselves. Once we choose ourselves, we will be the chosen people, because we will be the chosen people of God, because God is inside of you. So God is choosing you, but you also need to choose yourself. If you choose yourself, then you will win. I hope that makes sense. I hope that logic kind of fits together for you, because I do believe in us. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So take care now. And Tara, yeah, you can just start from the beginning. I see you in there. I love you, Tara. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.